Hi, this is Kimberly. I would like to start by thanking you for confirming that my thoughts were correct, that the largest part of you, the best part of you, the vast majority of my listeners are in agreement with the way I have been doing things on my channel. Imagine that I've been spot on in providing entertainment to you. See, I know you. I've got your number. A considerable percentage of you enjoy ample amounts of my running off at the mouth at the beginning of each video, and those that don't care for it appreciate that I give a timestamp to skip over it, and then they can get to the meat of the video, while others listen to me yammer. Man, y'all jumped all over that poll. I really wasn't expecting as many responses as I got, and it's only been a day. Wow. So, have you any idea how much that warms my heart as I live and breathe? I am blessed as all get out. And me, of all people, though, I should know better. Not only am I a gumshoe, but I'm a flippin' empath as well. I should never have reached this point that I had to ask. But sometimes you have to ask. What if there's not a mirror around? What? A mirror, you say? Yes, because one should always check themselves. You've heard of, you need to check yourself. Well, that also concerns doing a backward glance in the mirror to make sure that your skirt isn't tucked into your undergarments. You could say, well, I don't feel a draft, so I'm confident that everything is fine. Because when you don't check yourself, things happen. Do you know how many men have walked into the office where I used to work with their fly down? You need to check yourself. You know, you walk out of the restroom and everybody's laughing and pointing and too embarrassed for you to come up and tell you that your ass is showing and you're dragging toilet paper on your shoe down the hall, shit like that. Get a full-length mirror. Like I said, when you don't check yourself, things happen. Like coming down the water slide at Myrtle Beach, and after landing and standing up and laughing, making your legs carry your now heavy body as you wade through the waist-deep water, and you get out and you see that your new husband is not smiling back at you. You innocently ask him, "What's wrong, hubby, Mr. Kimberly?" And he just points. I'm like, what? And he storms off. And there I am chasing him down the boardwalk. It's then that I look down to discover that the top part of my bikini has come up or down. I don't remember which. That was a long time ago. 38 years ago, almost 39, wow. But I tucked myself back in and run to catch up with him, and then I spent the remaining part of the day and evening trying to convince him that no, I did not feel a draft on my boob, and I'm not an exhibitionist. That no, the sun was hot, that shallow part of the pool water was warm. No, I was not putting on a show or parading. The laughing I was doing was about coming off the slide and doing a belly flop, and not because I was tickled and humored that I was exposing myself, for God's sakes, land sakes alive, for fuck's sake. And I said, "Wow, you are not the man I married if you think that about me." And I turned on my heel and stomped off. Our first fight as a married couple. The moral of the story is, check yourself regularly before standing up in a shallow body of water after doing a belly flop. And you may want to invest in a very modest one-piece Olympic-style swimming costume if you're going to be doing vigorous water activities. After checking oneself, sometimes the recognizing, realizing, comprehending, and understanding of improvement is decided and all good and in order now, and shit. If that made sense. It does in my head, okay? Then you made the decision that nothing will change. That doesn't mean I've reached the conclusion of, I've done it. I never need to make or show improvement again. I'm there. Nah, it'll creep up again, believe me. A certain amount of self-doubt is fine. It's good for you. as it shows you are or may be open to suggestions to improve, amend, enhance, or cultivate one's state of affairs after throwing up one's hands. Okay, we're talking about me. Okay, throwing up one's hands, saying, well, shit. No, make that, well, shit in a bucket, and then slamming off to bed. Vexed with displeasure and indignation. I was in a fucking furious fibro-fat funk, okay? But today, I'm gonna make spaghetti and be all euphoric and shit. Let's talk about this trial now, shall we? The one that, I just left you high and dry without warning the other day, and you're like, where the fuck's the intro? She always does an intro. What happened? Did she quit on us? What the fuck's wrong? One sometimes has an off day. And yeah, that was me. I know I'm not perfect like y'all think I am. Goodness. No, not at all. The trial. Before we do talk about the trial, I've not forgotten that I promised to read the new book, Blood and Marriage, by Kathleen Houston, who was, before this, she was writing the book with Cindy Watts, All My Broken Pieces, and then they said, let's call the whole thing off, and they broke up with each other, and actually I think they do still talk a little bit, from what I heard her say in an interview before. Not like all the time. She said Cindy just wants to know the truth, and I believe Cindy has a soft side, I do. We'll talk about that more later. I've done beat her up enough in the last few weeks. Presently, we are studying the 2019 murder trial of Jennifer and Joseph Rosenbaum out of Henry County, Georgia. This trial is concerning the time they had the grand idea to become foster parents. And they did. In name only were they foster parents. Not those nurturing people that take distraught children into their home and parent them like they need to be. No, not that kind. They're not that kind of foster parent. The pair was charged with the 2015 death of 2-year-old foster child Layla Daniel. Yes, it took that long to come to trial. 4 years, or nearly 4 years, something like, just shy of 4 years. There were some hiccups along the way that kept delay, and I'll be covering that part on another day. Not only is this a very long trial, but it was complicated and involved just getting to the trial. I think it was complicated and involved just getting to the part of before Jennifer and Joseph became foster parents, I've not decided if it's a clusterfuck or a shit show. I'll let you know when I decide. A few years back, in 2015, Jennifer was attempting to establish herself as a pillar of the community that she lived in, Henry County, Georgia. But she fucked it all up when she wanted to add foster mother to her long list of accomplishments to make up for her fucked up childhood of homelessness, living in a car, at truck stops, abusive parents, and finally being placed and left in foster care herself until she aged out of it on her 18th birthday. And they just opened the door and let her loose. I wonder if they knew she was a loose cannon. 'Cause those defects people tend to hide shit and sweep things under the rug, and we'll get to that too. So, Jennifer seemed to be defying the odds. She went on to be a seemingly successful adult. She's a U.S. Army National Guard veteran military police officer and a one-time law student at the prestigious Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia. She also worked in her county's DA office. She had friends in high places. Lots and lots of acquaintances of very high stature, and she had just announced her candidacy for her county commission district. She was just 27 years old, just turned 27 on the day Layla died. Yes, I was going to say on the day she killed her, but that's not yet been proven in a court of law for our purposes. Remember, we're playing by the rules. If I forget, y'all, bring me up by my bootstraps. Oh, yes, I will get back to her story, Jennifer, as much as I can find. And Going off track for just a wee little minute here. Before I do Jennifer's life story, first, I need to finish up all the things I've gathered to complete the 𝐂𝐡𝐢𝐥𝐝 2.0 meth lab and Courtney Dingbill thing that I was doing. Oh, I've gathered up lots of things. It's just a bitch assembling it. I want to do it in order. Then I'll be finished with them, and I'm going to delete all that shit off my computer. It's taking up a lot of space. I can't think when it's cluttered, my computer or anything. Although everything is cluttered. And that's why I can't think, I guess. Well, damn, I just put 2 and 2 together. Oh, my. Okay, back to the Rosenbaum trial. If you've not seen the video I did of Jennifer speaking at the county commission meetings of a seat on the board she oh so coveted, and she would badmouth those people and bully them and, make trouble at the meetings, and then all of a sudden, I want to be one of y'all. Yeah, come on in, girl. The video I did on this, I urge you to take a look at it. It's quite interesting. It displays some of her personality. It's one of the few things we have to go on, since all we get of her now is looking at the back of her and Joseph's head, and them whispering, and Jennifer furiously shuffling papers and photos and writing. Did you see her notes? I'll have to see if I can find that. And she was holding them up and talking to the lady that sits to the left of her. And I mean, she had different color highlights and it was all typed up, but then she had notes in every square inch of the margins. Yeah, there was no white space left on the paper. She was probably like that at school, too. Damn, I keep wondering. The last episode you saw was of Dr. John Potts and Amanda Harrill testifying. I pretty much skipped over the intro, as we were talking about earlier, much to the chagrin and dismay of many, if not most of you. So here it is now, this blathering that I'm doing. It counts as that intro, okay? But it's a standalone, and as sworn to you, I present it to you now. Here, I don't break my bad habits, and I damn sure am not going to break a promise, ever. Try not to, anyway. It was day 2 of the trial. Tessa Daniel, Layla and Millie's birth mother, had just finished her several-hour testimony, bless her heart. She did well. She stayed strong and stood up to Pit Mull. And she's been in the courtroom the entire time. I know it's hard for her, especially not having her daughters now. She knows they're where they should be. I'm confident of that. Tessa had told the court that she had drug problems, yes, and she wasn't able to give the girls a stable home. But, she actually had everything worked out for herself at the time. Was it an ideal situation? Well, yes, it was. Where the children had been and were, they were cared for and loved. Those temporary foster mothers, if you will, they were very kind and loving, and they played with them and laughed. Caring for a child is more than wiping noses and wiping bottoms. It's in your heart. It's concern and attention, consideration, protection, love. You don't have to love the child, have regard for them, be concerned, and make sure they're kept safe, being responsible for them, safekeeping, diligence, alertness, attentiveness. So much more than I got them to eat salmon. I took them for face painting, and you also beat the shit out of them. Yes, she was having to go to prison. Yes, she had failed drug screens and stuff, but Tessa, she had her daughters' whereabouts accounted for. She made sure they were settled. She knew she was going to jail. She had friends and relatives, and the girls were in stable and very loving homes. I saw 3 women testify, took care of those girls, and they were just sweethearts, and you could tell they had a good heart. They were just good people. So loving and stable homes before the Department of Family and Children's Services stepped in and ruined it. thereby allowing the unstable monster, Jennifer Rosenbaum, and her sidekick Joseph, to step in and take over on account of they decided, they talked it over, and thought it would be fun to play house. Hey, I know, let's do that foster parent thing. We can play with the kids and the state will pay us. Plus, it'll look good for my campaign. Yeah, let's do it. In name only were they foster parents. But it's not playing house, damn it. Do you have fun with the babies, dressing them up, feeding them, changing their diapers? And you have a friend come over, go eat popsicles and ride bikes, and you forget that you were playing house. Your mother cleans up the mess and puts the dolls back, all neat and clean and cutesy-wootsy for when you decide to play house again. Some of the babies are just thrown in the closet or the toy box. No, you can't forget about these babies 24/7, or be rough with them, or forget to feed them, or more like purposely withhold food every second and every minute of every day. It's messy, real messy. They touch all of your nice things in that new first house of yours and break things and touch the walls. Bet that was nerve-wracking, wasn't it, Jennifer and Joseph? All those years, not having a home to call your own. Probably enraged you. They would mess up your house and touch your stuff that you've worked so hard for. Such a disruption to your quiet, picturesque life. Everything just so. Babies and toddlers need attention day and night. It doesn't matter that you've had to attend law school classes and go to work and grocery shop and cook and wash clothes and clean the house. And Joseph is gone, and not just at one job, but at two. You chose this. You said, where do I sign up? Deal with it. Joseph working 2 jobs. Is that why you decided to be a foster parent? The money would be kind of like your second job, huh? Only it's not. It's your first job, and it's full-time, no breaks. Not unless you pay someone or convince a friend or family member to come and help out. Still, it is your #1 priority. Foster parenting is not to be taken lightly. It's not to be looked at as a means of employment. These children are not to be paraded around to make you look good for your public office candidacy. No. Look at me. Look at all I can do. I'm an awesome person. By the way, I'm running for the county commission. Don't forget to vote. Common sense is not a flower that grows in everyone's garden. I meant to say, fuck out of here with your bullshit, Joseph and Jennifer. Dr. Potts, a pediatrician, was the final witness to take the stand on Wednesday, July 11th, 2019, day 2 of testimony. Dr. Potts in his office had treated Layla before she stayed with the Rosenbaums. He saw Layla 4 times, and he never saw signs of ill health or abuse on Layla's body or Millie's. They were fine, and they were handed over to you. Dr. Potts was shown the autopsy photos of Layla's injuries, and he was asked if he saw any marks similar to that. He treated Layla. He said no, with his voice quivering. He was visibly shaken to the core. And he pulled the microphone over his clear and direct answer, which was no, every time they asked him had he ever seen anything like that. And Pitmull came over for her cross-examination. Dr. Potts was asked if the bruises from Layla's autopsy photo could be caused by a child sliding down a ladder. I'm thinking even a violent slide down the ladder. I've never seen the autopsy photos, but from the reaction of people, the shock and horror, I can only imagine. He said, quote, I would think it would be from some type of abuse, but I can't rule it out. Pitmull was making this southern gentleman uncomfortable with her pitmullish ways. She's not what one refers to when they mention a proper southern lady. She ain't from around here, I can tell. It was pissing me the fuck off because I felt very protective of Dr. Potts. Such a nice man. When Pitmull was done badgering Dr. Potts, everyone let out a big tired sigh and went home for the day. When they adjourned for court the next morning, it was Friday, July 12, 2019. Everybody was ready for the weekend. It was Rosenbaum trial day 3 now. Jurors first heard from Amanda Harrill, Millie's new mother. She adopted all 3 of Tessa Daniels' daughters after Layla's death. She happily took them into her loving home, and with each child, as she adopted them one by one, her heart would just expand. She has so much love to give those little girls. It's just what they need and deserve. Anyone pondering becoming a foster parent, you need to think long and hard about it. For a lot of people, they think they can do it, but it's different when it's not your own child. I don't know. I just pray that these children protective services get better. I know the ones around here have sucked really bad. Amanda Harrill, Millie's mother, she told the court Millie would sometimes bring up her time with the Rosenbaums. She said, quote, one of them being that she and Layla would get in trouble if they fell asleep in the car. I don't fucking understand that. Children fall asleep in the car. Children that young, I fall asleep in the car, and they would receive spankings, end quote. She also told about being forced to eat mashed potatoes until she vomited, then was forced to eat that as well. Jennifer Rosenbaum is batshit crazy, and so is Joseph. Whoever made her eat vomit is disgusting, despicable. You're not even a human being. You're a piece of shit. You're a piece of pit mole shit. I, myself, have never understood making kids eat something they don't like. Do you eat foods you don't like? No, you don't. We as adults, we don't do that. Why should children? Even an infant will gag if you give them something to eat and they don't like the taste. Now, I would take 3 green beans and put them on their plate and say, at least eat that so you've had some of the nutrition. And then I'd be like, oh my God, you're already growing. And they'd say, I am? Yes, I see it. Go look in the mirror. Slowly over time, they would get used to eating something and then realize after a while they had a taste for it as they got older. No, if they couldn't eat it, didn't want it, I didn't force the issue. I would just say, well, thank you for trying it, though. But I like her, Mrs. Harrill. I think you could tell. Divine power put her in place at the exact right time to receive the daughters that she now calls her own. She's not only gracious, but grateful, too. It's a true Southern lady. I loved that Mrs. Harrill was smiling the entire time she talked about Millie and her sisters, and when Pit Mole inserted one of her objections, smile just it went away, just like that. She has that effect on people. Mrs. Harrill's smile not only went away, she was doing that laser eye stare at Pit Mole. I was hoping it would ignite her short, get me your manager bowl haircut into flames. But no, she just kept yakking, like Pit Moles do. I wonder who her handler is. They let her off her leash entirely too much in the courtroom. I could not be happier that this woman and her husband and their loving home were put in place and on the ready to take in these little girls and keep them together as sisters, always. I have full confidence that the cycle has now been broken with these sisters. Sounds like their mother is doing everything right by them. I also feel confident that if DFACS had never stepped in, that Tessa was providing them with as much love as she could and had, but unfortunately her drug habit made her not physically or mentally there. And she knows, she absolutely knows. She wants what's best for her daughters, even though it hurts her heart. I wonder if she would have been clean and sober by now, if ensuing chaos had never happened. Mrs. Harrill was very cooperative with Pit Mole. I was very impressed with her. She was extremely honest, polite, civil. Pit Mole's while questioning Mrs. Harrill was a bit more than I could stand. I got a handful of them cut out, but not all. I wish she could just see how much it takes away from her delivery. See, I can be all cordial and reasonable and shit, even when someone grates on my very last fucking nerve. I mean, she'd still be who she is, but as I said before, I have a physical reaction to her speaking very negatively. The cold chills and that gagging reflex. It just comes out of nowhere. If I fucking throw up, I'm gonna make her eat it. And the ums of hers, I take them out, not for Pitmull, but for us. It's very distracting to her line of questioning. Same with the long pauses, as they shuffle papers and look for photos to tender into evidence. Me with ADD, I lose my train of thought, so cutting these pauses and ums out helps me concentrate. I sit through those long, tedious silences and grunting Pitmull noises so you don't have to. The female attorney that was doing the questioning for the prosecution, especially when she was questioning Dr. Potts, she was very, very quiet. And I can't find her name. I looked high and low, side to side, newspaper articles, news reports. I could not find her name. And it's kind of difficult because they used 2 different counties prosecution to do this because, of course, Jennifer worked in the DA's office. So that DA recused himself. Did I say that right? Recused himself. I can't find her name. I don't know. And some of them, I'm Corinne Mull. She does her voice real quiet when she gets up there and then tears into him, rips into him. I couldn't find her name, and I had to turn the sound up full blast in order to hear her. And then Dr. Potts, he spoke in his clear, deep, distinct, direct tone. I would cower covering my ears, so I was kind of toggling back and forth with the volume, and I hope it was okay. I did my best with it. Had to do a few subtitles for the female attorney, but that was the only time I really noticed it. It was probably the damn cameraman. I'm not impressed with him. Anyway, at least we got to see the trial. So, yeah, I hope y'all's ears are okay. When she would ask a question of Dr. Potts, he had very high energy in comparison to her. He would answer straight away, and then she would pause for a very, very long time before demurely asking another question that would jolt me out of my sleep. I was dozing off, and after eliminating most of these silent bits, there wasn't much left in the way of a video, so I went on to day 3 to spice things up a bit, and that's where Mrs. Harrill came in and made for a nice video. I applaud that gentleman on the jury that kept nodding off on the first day, that got in trouble for sleeping. Not that I applaud him for nodding off, it's just I fully expected to hear him snoring, because I myself kept dozing off because she was so quiet, and then there were very, very long pauses in between questions. It was tedious yet very interesting, and once I listened back to it without the long, drawn-out pauses, it sounded much better. You're welcome. I found out how trials are like that. When my interest in true crime came into fruition, I'd get very engrossed with all the drama they show on TV, on the news, or those really good Dateline stories they do sometimes, big drama scenes in the court, and they would just show exciting clips of trials, and I'm going to start watching trials, kind where you get all engrossed in it. You just kind of lean into the TV with great interest, and then you go to watch the real trial, and it takes the excitement out of it with the long, quiet parts. I don't like that. So that's why I do what I do with cutting out the mind-numbing parts. I don't need y'all dozing off like Sleepy over in the juror's box. And somebody had to wake him up when it was time for them to get up and slam off to the jury room on that first day. The door slams every time they go in there. I think I've been cutting that out, but Judge Amiro, he's so by the book, and he waits for that door slam before he starts talking. He's always like, okay. Did y'all watch the housekeeping stuff with Judge Amiro that was between Dr. Potts and Mrs. Harrill, where Mr. Sleepy was trying to get out of jury duty? He can't afford to do his civic duty, he said. So, see, I knew he was probably struggling during Dr. Potts's testimony. The very quiet whisper of the attorney that was questioning him. He thought about it all weekend. I bet he has sleep apnea. He really should go to the doctor. Not to Dr. Potts, though. He's a pediatrician. So the long stops and breaks and interludes and housekeeping and breathers and pauses and can we get a copy of this picture and blah, blah, blah. And they are disturbing and interrupting to me, like as a commercial or an intermission, just when it's getting good and they snap you out of it. And then you feel the need to go and compose yourself, like you got caught for doing something. That displeases me. Now it pisses me off. But sometimes it'll kind of bring you to like, oh, I was supposed to be doing such and such. Or you'll realize that, I'll realize, hey, I'm not as interested as I thought I was. So I'll click out and move along when they go to a commercial. You know, like when you're on Facebook and they show those videos where they're doing stuff real fast, like a different way of doing something, and it's really stupid, but you just sit there and watch it and watch it. Well, that's what I do. And then when it goes to commercial, I'm like, oh shit, and I'll just go on. So, but don't do that here if it goes to commercial. That's prohibited. Please remain in your seats in an upright position. You must stay until the end. Kimberly, you can't tell them. You can't tell them that, Kimberly. You're supposed to pretend not to know about commercials and shit. Sorry. Pitmull was insinuating that little Millie is a liar pants to her mother. She had testified that Millie, who just finished first grade, had gotten into trouble for quote-unquote lying at school, and what Millie said was a mix-up about which group she should have been studying in, when she really just wanted to stay with her iPad at school. I mean, typical kid. Miss Pitbull's trying to make a scandal out of it. Oh, so she has a habit of lying, wouldn't you say? Isn't it true that Millie has a habit of lying? Her mother's like, no, I wouldn't say that. I tell you what, Pitbull, her cornbread's not done in the middle. And so that's the recap of the last part of the trial. I'm tired and I need to slam off to bed and shit. I didn't sleep last night. It's alright, I'm used to it. So that will be the end of this video. Thank you for hanging out with me today and letting me make up for refusing to do the intro the other day because people want to give me grief. Well, that's all right. Have a great weekend. Much love and peace. Thank you for listening.